So here we have our start screen scene, and you'll notice that I have a canvas here. I have an image, which is this background Pokemon battle image here, and I also have a button. So let me just show you the functionality. If I hit play, hover over this button, click this button, and it loads the choose your team screen. How did I do this? Well, I have a start button script attached to my main camera, and down here with my button, I'm not going to spend too long on this particular part with the button, because you could watch, I have 2 button tutorials on YouTube right now, which go in depth on how to write public functions that then activate when a button is clicked. But basically I dragged this main camera object here, and then I chose start button, click, the function that I wrote in that script. And let's just take a look at that function really quickly. I'll double click here on my start button script. And now you'll notice that this function has to be public, otherwise it won't appear in that list there. And you'll see the name start button click, just like it said before when I had been in that on that selection screen. And scene manager .load scene. So this is new to Unity 5.3 or 5.4. Basically, instead of using application .load level, you have to put up here using Unity Engine .scene management, and you have to use scene manager .load scene, and then it works the same way as application .load level. You just pass in the string with the level name, and the level has to be added to your build settings in order to make that transition. In order to add that level to your build settings, you would go to File, Build Settings, and you would have to hit Add Open Scenes with that level selected, with that level open, that scene open in Unity. The reason I'm not going through that again step by step here is because if you look on YouTube, I do have a video on how to load scenes in Unity 5.3 and up, which uses Scene Manager as opposed to application.load level. So very simple here for the start screen. I just have a canvas image that I attached a sprite image to that's down here in my assets folder in 2D art. Also, just to break down these folders for you, in the assets folder you have 2D art. Here you're going to find a 2D image of each of the Pokemon that's used on the choose your team screen. You're also going to find those close-ups that you'll find near their health bars when they're in battle. The 1, 2, and 3 signify which Pokemon you chose for first, second, and third, their battle order. You'll also notice I have a block element here that's for behind their headshots on the HP screen. When I show you again, you'll be able to recognize that. Choose your team, that's the text. What I do is I went in Photoshop, I created some text, and then I added a stroke to it using a layer effect. This is the flag image, so you'll notice on the flag on the battlefield, which is a cloth object, I applied this texture to it. Health bar, I keep the health bar white because my code changes it to green. If you use a green health bar to start out with, and then you try to change the tint of it to green, or you try to change the color of it to show it's yellow or red eventually, it's just going to add a yellow or red tint to the current green color. So that's very important that when you're bringing a sprite in and you want to color it through the code and it's supposed to change color, you want to keep those things white so that when you reassign a color in the code, it's not just adding a tint to your current color. Now here's Leaf. This is used for Ivysaur's Razor Leaf effect. This is our Pokemon Battle 2D art, and this is our start button art. Now, so on the button, one thing I may not have shown in one of my other tutorials is to change the target graphic. Sorry, not the target graphic, the source image. You would go up here to this image, you would click here, and you would find your image for your button. So if I wanted to change it to a leaf, I could change it to a leaf, and notice that when I hit play and I click it, it works just as intended. However, instead of a leaf here, we're going to keep it with our start button. The other breakdown of the folders, I'm going to show you 3D models. These, for the most part, some of them are textured, but some of them are untextured. These are just the plain 3D models that were brought into Unity. And then, and the reason some of these aren't textured, some of them are. Some of them were brought in probably before the texture maps, and then some of them were brought in after I had imported all the texture maps, and then Unity just automatically assigned these textures to them if the textures were brought in first. So that's one quick trick, is that if you're using Unity to texture 3D models, basically, or to reassign textures to 3D models, one thing that you want to do is you want to bring all your textures in before you bring in all your 3D models, because then they'll automatically have all those textures applied to them. the editor folder, the anim folder. This is all my animation stuff. Right now it just has the Pokeball stuff, animations. Prefabs, so these are each of our Pokemon prefabs, the Pokeball and the terrain battlefield that you can access as a prefab. Each different scene, we have an attacks, where I actually worked through each of the particle effects for the attacks. I'll show you that in one of the future tutorials. In this playlist, choose your team. That's another screen we're going to have to go over. Game over and you win are currently empty, but those are the ones that you load if the player won or lost. Temp is where I do some of my, the work that doesn't necessarily need, I just need a scene to play around in. Scene 1 is the actual battle scene, and start scene is the scene that we're currently in right now. Scripts, you'll also have a bunch of scripts. I also have these enemy and player health bar scripts. More on why I broke them up like that in a future tutorial. Sky 5X is actually not my own asset. This is from the Unity Asset Store. You can get it for free. And they have some really nice sky boxes that I chose to make use of in these tutorials. Standard assets. I was looking here mostly for my terrain textures. My terrain that I made, and my UV maps. So these are the paint effects textures brought directly in from Maya. So that's about it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'm actually going to go over now the choose your team screen.